Hi everyone! Alright, in today's video, I'm going to do just a short little review of a new book that came out just because I'm very excited for it. I'm really a big fan of the series. So that is Sunrise on the Reaping. So this one will be a spoiler-free review. This will just be kind of my thoughts. Should you read it? Why you should read it? Is it worth your time? Is it not worth your time? Just kind of some simple things. So if you do not know, first and foremost, this is part of the Hunger Games series. This is the 50th quarter quell, or this is the 50th Hunger Game, which is the second quarter quell. And it is Haymitch's Hunger Games, which is a very special Hunger Games. Now again, no spoilers. I'm not going to get into really the nitty-gritty because this book is lean, it is mean, and it is all needed. There is not an ounce of fat in this story that does not come to fruition and does not somehow tie into something else. So let's go over it. All right, so first and foremost, yes, the basic simple premise, this is through Haymitch's eyes. If you don't remember, Haymitch is the mentor for District 12 for Katniss and for Peeta. So, how does this book stack up to the others in the series versus the Hunger Games series, the first trilogy, and with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes? I will just go ahead and say, one, I think this is the best written book in the entire series. This is now my new favorite for a plethora of reasons. Number two, this one knows the winning formula that a lot of readers really come to anticipate or really come to like with this style of writing. However, that does not mean this is the same old boring story or the same old tropes that we see over and over again. There's plenty of new in this book that is very ingenious, and I quite really enjoyed while reading it. Now, I will say this, out of the other Hunger Games books, you can tell that the author, who is a phenomenal author, Suzanne Collins, is a wonderful author. This one is lean, it is mean, and it is intense. It is very brutal. There are many, many deaths in this book, come to expect with the Hunger Games, but not in the way you would think. Brutal as in they are very violent, but also emotionally and psychologically violent as well. There's a lot of things that up the ante, a lot of twisted, torturous things that these characters are put through, and some of the mutts, some of the parts of the game, and even before that with the political social commentary, are just absolutely freaking brutal. So I say this, if you are a fan of the series, this is 100% worth your time. Definitely check this out, definitely read it. You will not regret it. I read this book in 2 days. I started reading it last night, got 200 pages in, finished it today. I legitimately finished today. I finished around 3 p.m. I'm currently shooting this around 6:30ish. So this is a very hot, fresh take. Now, again, is it written well? Yes, I feel like she knows what she's doing at this point. She knows exactly the puzzle pieces to lay out for you. And one thing I believe that Hunger Games fans like myself really enjoy about this series is primarily the fact that she gives you enough puzzle pieces to put things together for the larger picture of the world, while also adding new questions. There are more things that she kind of sprinkles throughout that you're like, I would like to know more about that. I want to know more about that. I would love to see that explored in something else. Again, this is not just another character like Katniss or like Lucy Gray. Haymitch is Haymitch, and there's a lot of things that she goes through, and she delves into the history and different aspects of his like personality, and it's fantastic. And I think the twists and turns that this book takes is just incredible, and I think it's very well thought out. I think it makes perfect sense for his character, his motives, and what's going on. He is not a damsel in distress. He's nothing like Lucy Gray in the first one for Songbirds and Snakes. He is nothing like Katniss. They are all different characters. So I did really appreciate that. I also love that in this book, everything is self-referential. You will see things come up again. It is important. There is nothing fluffy about this. And I will say this, the characters are fantastic. There are certain characters in this book who start off one way and you think you're really not going to like them, and they turn out to surprise you and you're rooting for them by the end of the book. One character in and of herself, who, this is not a spoiler, but Maisley, who is one of the girls who's drawn from District 12, at first you don't like her. But then all I'm going to say is the train sequence going from 12 to the Capitol, my God, I was cheering for her. The things that came out of her mouth, fantastic. I thought the repose, I thought that the dialogue was so biting and so justified, and I absolutely loved it. I thought she was phenomenal. I think this is also a really good take on authoritarianism, propaganda, how things are edited, and it really shows that. So again, the first one, or not the first one, but The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes with Snow really dives into fascism and how one kind of makes the choices either consciously or subconsciously and follows that train of pattern. This one is all about authoritarianism. It is all about how society or certain political parties will beat you into submission whether you like it or not, and will hold things against you. So it's wonderful. And anyone who's thinking that Haymitch is just some drunk, victor, washed up has-been, you are going to be very surprised by his depth and story and what drives him to do everything he does. So again, phenomenal characterizations, phenomenal plot devices. It's a really brilliant story, and I will say this, there are a lot of lyrical or literature things to look for, especially with Edgar Allan Poe. That is a big part of this story. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but he is sprinkled throughout the book. There are hints at certain characters, certain lineages. You really start to get things. And one thing I was worried about with Sunrise on the Reaping is what left there was to explore the world. I thought when we got our trilogy and we got Ballad, I was like, okay, where can you possibly go with this? What story can you pull out that's going to be different but going to be connected? I should have left those fears in the dust. From the get-go, from chapter 1, it hooks you, it pulls you in, and you are completely engulfed in it, and I thought it was wonderful. So again, long story short, it's well written, the plot is fantastic, the characters are fantastic. No one feels like a stereotype, no one feels like a caricature or things you've seen before. They are all humanized, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses, and it's fantastic. Number 2, it is, again, very brutal. It is mercilessly brutal. Whether it's the killings, whether it's the psychological aspect, whether it's the emotional aspect, it's very intense. This is probably her most intense book that she's written in the Hunger Games series, in my opinion. Now, as a fan of this series, are you going to personally like it? That kind of depends. So what I will say is, before this book, Catching Fire was my favorite. Catching Fire, I think with just the design of the arena, I think with the complex political aspects now coming into play, the juggling of all of these different plot devices, the love aspect that's not really love, the rebellion, the games, going back, there was so much going on. This balances just as much and does it so beautifully. So, yes, I think you should read it if you are a fan. If you have ADHD or have things that might prohibit you from sitting down and actually reading a physical copy, read the audiobook. Put it on. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Now, I will also say that Lionsgate, who does the films, announced that the film adaptation of this will be in November of next year, 2026. As far as I know, they're still in production and they're still on their way to meet that goal. So I do recommend reading this. My big problem that I have with the movies of the Hunger Games, which is no real issue other than the fact that all of the books are written first person. So that means you're inside their head the whole time. That was probably my biggest concern with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the fact that you were inside Snow's head the whole time in the book, which was wonderful because you know just how truly awful and despicable that man is. On the backside, on the flip side with the movie, you don't get that internal monologue. So there's a lot of times where his characterizations or his mannerisms, one could mistake as being like an anti-hero or being kind of like a somewhat, gray character. In the book, he's not. In the book, he is awful and horrendous and, he's just terrible. That's one thing I kind of worry with the movie adaptation of this, is we're not going to see inside of Haymitch's head as much with his actions, so I hope they do a better job of displaying those to the forefront. Again, with the original Hunger Games series, they're all inside Katniss's perspective, which is why I think the first movie, again, doesn't capture the spirit of the books as well as it could have. To me, Catching Fire does a better job, which is why it's my favorite movie adaptation as well compared to the books. But again, this might be a little bit easier to convert to film, just with some of his actions and choices. I just hope they explain a little bit. Now, again, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but all I'm going to say is that a lot of puzzle pieces click. We see a lot of origin stories. We see a lot of this world that as a fan, you're going to love. If you've never read The Hunger Games, if you've never seen a movie, can you pick this up and enjoy it? I think you can. I think you very much can enjoy it. She does a great job of explaining the world, albeit brief, but she does very well, so you kind of know what's going on. And for those who are an avid fan of the series, it's just going to be such a joy to read and to see. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that connects. A lot of stuff is referenced from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a lot of foreshadowing to The Hunger Games. It's all very well done. So all in all, yes, pick up a copy of this, go to your library, read it. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. This is personally my favorite out of the whole series at the moment. I finished it. I will probably reread it again just because there's a lot of little intricacies that I want to make sure that I read correctly. But I hope you guys enjoy this kind of video. I did take a break from my studies, so I did finished all my homework that I needed to this week, and then, you know, again last night started reading. And I will say, I know I'm a fast reader, but I read 205 pages in probably the span of like 4 hours. So it's, for me, I got hooked into it and I was ready to finish it. I was like, let's get this done. I just could not stop because I thought it was so interesting. But down below, let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have a copy of it, or if you're a fan of the book series. So again, I know this is not a normal Let's Get Lit video, but I did want to make sure that I still keep in touch and just let you guys know that doing fairly well. But just wanted to read this because it was a new one and let you guys know if it's worth your time or not. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a great one, and as always, stay lit.